So, the world's pretty fucked up right now. It's one way to start a video. Hello everybody, my name is Xander, and today I'll be taking a look at the new Run the Jewls album, RTJ4. So, normally I don't like to get political at all in my videos. I'm a pretty politically active person, but I just don't see my videos as the space to do it normally. If you want that, feel free to check out my Discord. But it kind of feels unavoidable in this circumstance. Just due to the production schedules of how albums are made, it was written a few months ago before all this craziness happened, but there's a kind of eeriness to it and a timeliness to this release. Despite the fact that they weren't directly referencing recent events, it's really difficult to not draw some pretty obvious parallels to recent events. And for that reason, like I said, you can't divorce this album from the political situation that it was spawned out of. While some punk material can kind of like just generally be anti-government, this release particularly feels like it's set in the here and now, and there's no separating, like the art from the artist in this case. Which is why I won't try to. I'm not going to pretend that apolitical is a valid term at this point. This is a very political album, and if you're uncomfortable with that, I suggest you just kind of leave. For those watching this video a little bit later, we are currently right in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd by the hands of a police officer. As I speak, there are like riots in the street of every major city in the world. Shit's getting crazy. And I don't want to beat around the bush with my political views here. Black Lives Matter. This album is about that. I don't care what you identify as, police brutality is objectively an issue that just isn't being dealt with enough. And if that makes you uncomfortable, A, check yourself, but B, this album will definitely make you very uncomfortable. Because it isn't just blind rage. This album is like a specially made firebomb launched directly into the centre of an already ridiculously divided and angry political climate. And I can't pretend that it isn't improved because of that. As it happens, I think that the objective qualities of this album, the skill involved, the amazing production, are just so great, and just such a cut above what most other people are doing in the hip-hop game right now, that even if we weren't in the current climate, I would still call it amazing. Any objective analysis would tell you that, but that doesn't mean I won't acknowledge the profound effect that our current circumstances have on my view of it. So without any further ado, let's start talking about it. Run the Jewls, the collaborative project with LP and Killer Mike, two of the best rappers in the game. Formed in the late 2010s and are already on their 4th album at this point. Every single RTJ album is like already an instant classic. My personal favourite up to this point was 3, but it's kind of already 4 at this point, just after listening to it a few times. Both Killer Mike and LP deliver amazing verses on, well, all of their albums, but particularly on this one. That's noticeable right from the first track, Yankee and the Brave, which kind of feels like its own victory lap for an album that hasn't even started yet. It's one of the best rap intros I've heard in quite a while. It goes just so hard with them both delivering these amazing lines. Back at it like a crack addict, Mr. Black Magic. It's fast, it's energetic, it's hard-hitting, it's everything I've always loved about Run the Jewls, like put into one track, and it's just an amazing start to the album. And the second track, Ooh La La, doesn't drop anything. I'll be real, the first time I heard this track, I wasn't too much of a fan. It's got a kind of classic hip-hop feel to it with a very distorted, wavy, out-of-tune piano, doing these really wavy, bent, out-of-shape chords over this sample of a guy going, ooh la la, ah wee wee. Now yeah, the first few times I heard this, I would like skip through it just to get to the rest of the tracks, because it just was a bit annoying and kind of grating on the ears, especially a few times listening in. That ooh la la thing just grates on your ears. But to be honest, listening through it again, it's not that annoying as that kind of really out there, in your face, annoying quality is more just a like hook for the intro rather than something actually that perpetuates throughout the whole song. And the more I get into it, the more that weird loopy, bendy piano solo actually sounds pretty cool to me. Hopping into track 3, and we're starting to get some of the best production I've heard in a while. LP really outdid himself on this album. It's like this chopped up vocal sample on a really hard hitting beat, just going It really shows me how great LP's production is, not only on this album, but just in his whole career. He's able to take kind of details that aren't insane in their own right, but just make them hit so hard and really punch you in the gut with these beats. And it's not like his pen game is any worse either. He has the first verse on this song and it's really good. And it's no different on the next track, Holy Kamala Fuck, which maybe means something. There's this vocal sample like that has tons of reverb on it, and I think it's like down-tuned a little bit. It's such a good opener to a track. And when that synthy bass line kicks in, over Killer Mike's really intense rapping, it's like candy to the ears, and I hope that you're noticing a trend with every song I talk about. Amazing production and amazing rapping, you know, the two elements that make up hip-hop, are both at their A-game on this album. Killer Mike and LP are both masters of the craft, and they're showing it off. Believe it or not, I actually think it gets better. In my opinion, the first half of this album, while still great, isn't anywhere near as good as the second half. Let's get into it. The next track up is Goonies vs. E.T. that has a really fun hook on it. Maybe if I had another wish, I would wish for a wish for you. It's not only great on its own, but it also fits into the rest of the song. When you've got all this crazy guitar feedback and like pedal sounds all like building up, and then it all just instantly fizzles out and you go to this just da-da-da melody line with that vocal line on top of it. It's such a cool moment, especially when you factor in the really rhythmic rapping going along the rhythms to just like cut out to this melody. It shows me they didn't just pick a beat, rap over it and call it a day. They really thought about the song structure and how everything fits together. Next up is Walking in the Snow, that has one of the ugliest and hardest samples they've used on the whole album. It's like a distorted guitar thing that sounds like it's something that ended up on the cutting room floor of a hardcore album. The lyrics on this song are also so good. Killer Mike talks about how Twitter and Instagram activism has turned it into more of a trend than actually helping, and that people now are more willing to just like tweet out hashtag BLM than ever actually do something, and how seeing things every day has not only like made us care about it more, but in the reverse has made us care less, because we're just used to seeing horrible things happening all the time that it doesn't even faze us anymore. It's like when you hear a school shooting on the news, you don't just say, oh, that's horrible, you're like, oh, you know, another one. And it talks about that in the context of police violence, and it has honestly one of the best lines ever. And every day on evening news they feed you fear for free, and you so numb you watch the cops choke out a man like me, until my voice goes from a shriek to whisper, I can't breathe. I sometimes listen to songs at like just before bed, especially when I'm listening to a new album, just because when it's late at night you can just like absorb more music at once. When I heard this, it took me from the like half awake state to just wide awake. It was mind-fricking. Like I said in the intro, they wrote this album like before all the George Floyd stuff happened. They like predicted it, essentially, and it's truly spooky listening to it. Especially is because like they wrote it before this happened. Things just haven't changed. And this biting societal critique continues on the next track, Just, spelt with the money sign. It's about money. It's about how people will try and take themselves from a low position to try and get themselves up in society. Mastered economics, just to take yourself from squalor. But look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. The first lines right in the intro set up this like rat race that we're all in, just trying to climb up each other like crabs in a barrel, where as soon as one tries to get up, everyone else will just pull him down and attempt to get up themselves. And it talks about how in the end nothing matters because like the society we live in won't change, and unless we're able to institute some real action, like we'll all just be climbing up an endless ladder to get nowhere. And the line, look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar, isn't only saying that like, just literally, there are slave masters on the dollar. We still idealize horrible people from history, but it's saying that the powers that be still have a visceral effect on what matters to us. Our money, the only thing that allows us control in society, that ironically controls us more than we control it. And just the way that the hook is traded between Pharrell and the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine is great. Look at all these slave masters! If you can't tell yet, this album is extremely quotable. It is just full to the brim with amazing lines. Just like the next track, Never Look Back, which is about like a similar theme, trying to progress yourself in society, and it has the lyric, "Daddy told me never give a honey my money. I had to ask Daddy, did that include mummy?" I'm consistently amazed at how these guys are able to take these insanely complicated and like horrible societal issues and distill them into these like short verses that not only like eat at the heart of like what the issues are and like accurately talk about them with like nuance, but also like give them flow and rhythm and have them be pleasing to the ear. Like, it's amazing that they can take such like depressing themes and turn them into essentially party anthems. It shows how truly talented these guys are. And now we get to the penultimate track, Pulling the Pin. It kind of strips back a little bit. The drums are pretty quiet in the mix, and there's this not chill, but not very intense or hard-hitting guitar. They took the like beats and the rawness of it and kind of removed a bit of that for the penultimate track just to make it a little bit smoother. It has a just amazing chorus from Mavis Staples, and what I think this song gets at, it's pretty unique. Like, in the current world and political climate, not only like very recently, but just in general, there are a lot of emotions that can come out of this, like distress, there's like fear, there's just pure anger aimed at the system. But if you're one of the people affected by it, I think one of the main emotions isn't any of that, it's just sadness. I don't know. All these emotions are totally valid. You can feel angry, you can feel prideful when change happens, you can feel all this, but like, just the sadness of knowing what we're in is just something that doesn't get talked about that much. And the one lyric of "there's a grenade in my heart," and the way she just belts it out and really sings it right from the heart, it's emotionally affecting in a way that not only works within itself, but aims at the wider condition of society. And, you know, not many albums are able to accomplish that. And I think that one thing that makes this great, not only with how the lyrics are kind of, I don't want to say like real world, like the rest of the album isn't, but they feel more, perhaps grounded is the word I'm looking for, they feel more practical, and it, look, okay, I'm beating around the bush. What I really want to talk about is the final track. It hits so hard. It's called Radiation, Song for the Firing Squad. And both LP and Killer Mike take one final verse on it. There's this like string backing that like dun 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 that like builds up throughout the song. There's this amazing saxophone solo that happens like throughout with this just like reverbed and effects ridden saxophone. It kind of sounds like someone like Kamasi Washington's playing it, but I don't believe he was the actual one playing at the time. It's like and when LP's like referencing his younger sister, and when Killer Mike is talking about how like when his mum died and how that emotionally affected him, and how this all builds up right to the end where there's this reverbing and repeating and echoing of the final line, all dissipates and then smashes back with this enormous climax. The strings and backing vocals and the percussion and the saxophone solo all taking off until this like comedic thing where they go back to the Yankee and the Brave idea where they're on a TV show and they're like, "These two are on the run from the law. They have a better chance of killing each other than winning." It is one of the best ends to an album I've heard since like Daughters. I don't know, man. So in conclusion, this album is, simply put, two of the most talented people in the game who construct these amazing hooks and lines that so well reflect the world we're living in, and not just in a way where it'll be relevant now, it'll be relevant for years to come. It distills these ideas so well into these just like ear candy lines and lyrics. It's so quotable, it's so catchy, all the production is amazing. And I don't want to make it sound like it's only good because it's relevant. This album will always be good, but like I said at the beginning, I can't divorce it from its context. And that's why I'm giving this album a strong 8 to a light 9 out of 10. It's a must listen. You've probably already listened to it. I don't know why I'm recommending it. Everyone's already heard it, but yeah, I very, very strongly recommend this new RTJ album. And I think that's all I have to say about this album. As always, I would really appreciate a like, and if you were to subscribe. And here is normally where I'd say, oh, Discord and Instagram and my merch in the below. But instead, I'm just going to link to a bunch of resources that you can use to help out. I know my platform isn't like big or anything, but you know, if a few people see it, I'm content with that. And yeah, see you guys around.